Successful global partnerships are built on trust, they're built on consistency, and they're built on that long-term vision and collaboration.
You're listening to 15M Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from the leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, and supported by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask. Yo Investments, a fund manager investing in outstanding people who are disrupting the iGaming, fintech, and crypto industries. And BC Game, the multi-award winning crypto casino with a player-centric approach. Hello and welcome back to 15M Mastery. Today, we have one of the most respected figures in iGaming industry with us, Marija Hammon, the marketing director at Relax Gaming. This is the first of 3 episodes with Marija, and in today's episode, we're diving into how B2B providers can adapt to different regions, build the right teams, and navigate new audiences. Welcome, Marija.
Hi, Dimitri. This is so exciting. It's the first time that I've been invited back as a podcast guest, so I'm very honored. Thank you.
Awesome. Your last insights had a lot of good feedback, so obviously we always wanted to have you back, so thanks a lot for giving us a chance. So let's go straight into the action. So when you look at the global expansion, how do you decide whether to centralize all operations at headquarters or build local hubs in each region? What factors guide that decision?
To be honest, the best way to look at it is in 2 ways. So, of course, you have the internal operations, meaning what a company actually builds. And then you also have the business proximity, so where your customers are based. And both of those needs to be considered. The depth of the answer can vary depending on perception, of course. And while there is strength in collective thinking, to make a truly global product, you do need to have an international mix and to consider where the talent pool is as well. Pockets should, of course, be centralized where your customers are, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to put creative teams there as well. So that's where the talent pool and where you can find the right creative to build your product comes in. If you want to reach the customer, you naturally can't ignore the value of having regional hubs, which are close to where your customer is. So technology has, of course, made it a lot easier for us to feel consistently and continuously connected, but that face-to-face time can't really be easily replaced.
Right, yeah, absolutely love it. But how do you maintain consistency in your brand and product offerings and yet still adapt to distinct demand of each one of these markets?
From a B2B perspective, there is, of course, a need for adaptation. For example, from a product perspective, you would need to look at game speed, allowances of win cap, and different elements, all factors that can alter the core experience of the game itself. But you, of course, have to try and maintain general product integrity while adhering to compliance. So from a corporate branding perspective, it's a different story. And there, the mind frame, in my opinion, is a global brand guideline with local flexibility. This simply means that you have to have strong brand recognition while still making it easy and necessary, of course, to put the tweaks that you need in place. These will help you to appeal to a local audience, and it's just an essential element in going to a new market. Of course, the commercial approach may also need to change to appeal to the region as well, and to ensure that your efforts actually resonate with the region that you're in. This can include promotional methods and channels that you're in, and a variety of other things.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And in your case, you are a very distinctive, strong global brand with a very strong global presence. And when it comes to B2B, like what are the key ingredients of a truly global B2B team, and how do you build cooperation and trust across regional teams? Because I think sometimes what happens is a lot of these little regional teams are operating in silos. So it's very interesting to hear your thoughts here.
That's an excellent question. In my opinion, I think that there are 5 key pillars here. The first would be strong communication and channels, including visual connection. So, of course, your Zooms, Slacks, and other tools that allow you to see people as well. Then the second would be unified vision and purpose. This is extremely important because if everybody is in different locations, they all need to know what goal and vision they're actually striving and working towards together as a team. The third would be, of course, shared systems. If you are in different places, you will need to be able to access the materials and the tools that you need. So that's really important. The fourth would, of course, be transparency. This kind of goes hand in hand with number one, so communication, but you need to give people visibility. Sometimes, if you do have a hub or you have a headquarter, it's easy to perhaps overlook the information that other offices have. So it's just very important to bear that in mind as well. And then the fifth would be inclusivity and celebration of diversity. Because, of course, you are then working with different office locations, different cultures, different people. So you do need to have an inclusive approach and make sure that all those differences are truly celebrated and also represented externally as well, like, for example, on social media. Um, Different cultures can also have different working preferences, of course. So I think it's important to tackle that as well and to truly highlight how you like to work.
I really like that you touched on the cross cultural differences because I don't think many organizations they pay too much attention to it, especially like work ethics, workability, like a lot of little cultural things like these they really matter. And to be able to build like a truly global B2B organization with a big focus on the local regional teams is very hard. So it's nice that you kind of mentioned this little opportunity. So I want to ask you a little legal question because I think that many listeners saying that we don't focus on the legal frameworks too much. So here we go. So from your perspective, how do varying regulatory frameworks, like in the US, for example, compared to Europe where regulation is strict, or Latin America where regulation is really new, affect B2B providers' go-to-market strategy? Because some of the regions, especially the most booming and the most precious ones, it's very hard to get the license, really hard to understand the local legal complications. So it's very interesting to hear your thoughts here.
As we touched upon, the offering or product itself often needs to be tailored in these scenarios. For example, you could have a product like Dream Drop Jackpots from the Relax portfolio, which is not allowed in certain markets. So then, of course, once you know that, then you have to focus on what you can and should push to make the most of your offering within that market. In markets like the US, which you touched upon, it's very important to be particularly mindful of things like trademarks and other factors which can really impact a lot in your portfolio, including even game names. For example, Relax had to rename its highly popular Money Train series to Great Western for that market specifically. So, yes, there are always a lot of things to consider.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, especially when you have like a truly global product and localizing it to some little territories. I never thought you can actually rename games to really tailor the local audience. Like, good job on that.
Thank you.
So, to build that strong relations with your audience in unfamiliar markets is a very tough thing to do. So what are your best practices to do that, and are there any specific approaches that work well for forging partnerships globally?
I think the main thing, in my opinion, is to actually strive to maintain a degree of humility, remembering that just because you had a lot of success in a particular market, that entering new ones takes a lot of time. So patience is another factor. Successful global partnerships are built on trust, they're built on consistency, and they're built on that long-term vision and collaboration. So, in terms of critical success factors, if I had to outline three, I would say that they would be research and adaptation. so that you know exactly what you need to do and how. Number two would be understanding the level of corporate and product knowledge within the market. So basically, what stage you're actually starting from and which steps you need to take in order to bring that education level on your brand or your product portfolio to where you want it to be and what you're used to in other markets, perhaps. And then the third would be tailoring the product and the marketing efforts to the local audience, which we already discussed, including possibly broadening your marketing horizons, so to speak, by actually making use of new channels, entering new events, and everything else that would play part and parcel.
Right. I think, the go-to-market strategy, like as the whole, is very underlooked and undervalued for the game providers, especially the major ones. They just like integrate it everywhere. They just want to attack the lobby, and that's pretty much it. So, but if you had to pinpoint just one essential success factor for the B2B provider entering a major new market, what would it be and why?
As I said, it would be the research as the fundamental. So you always need to understand your market and your audience there. And then the next would be making sure that your messaging is going to stick. So once you understand what you are going for, then you can build the right approach. So I think I wouldn't really isolate one of those. They kind of go hand in hand. But yes, it's education, really. You would need to make sure that the new market, whether it's partners or the end user, actually know about you and know what makes you great.
Okay, but how do you define the success of the market entry? Just to try to understand whether the research phase, the partnership phase, and the market entry stage were like aligned and successful. How do you measure the success of the market entry?
Of course, it would be the number of people who are actually taking your product to start with. And then just reputation, really. You want to be able to go to a conference or to have a conversation. And when your brand name pops up, then people go, oh, yeah, I know about them.
Yeah, top of mind brand awareness for a B2B company, I think, is one of the strongest arguments in any conversation when someone wants to integrate something like a new tool which is taking like weeks of work of a product team, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we know these guys, let's do it. So it's just
Exactly.
yeah, just saving you a lot of time in negotiations. I think that was a very good episode, Maria, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And I cannot wait to speak with you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again.